mind's a mind of fanatic. Melanie's mind so great you can't have it. Melanie's mind, the mind of fanatic. Melanie's mind's the great, you can't have it.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so sorry that I've been away. I feel really bad, but life has truly gotten in the way. I say that a lot, but life really has gotten in the way. I went to Washington for 2 weeks and I was trying to get this video out by then, but I just had such a hard time finding the motivation to get the research done. But I finally got it done. But I was in Washington for 2 weeks and then I got back and I turned 21. So finally, I'm a legal adult, and I have also just been catching up on my Depop. I had a Depop drop as soon as I got back, so I was consumed with that a little bit, and I finally have slowed down enough that I can sit down with you guys and really chat about a true crime story. But also, I just want to say that if you do miss me, you can still find me on Instagram and on TikTok. I'll link those down below if you'd like to follow me there if you already don't. But I do post on those a lot more regularly than I do on here. So if you want to see what else I'm up to, you can always go on there. But I'm just going to try to go ahead and jump into the true crime story right away, because I know that some of you guys have been waiting for this one, and it's a really good one. So right away, I just want to give credit to where I got most of my information, and it's this CBS News article, which I'll link down below if you want to read it, because it gives a lot more information than the stuff that I'm going to tell you, because I'm just trying to sum it up as best as I can. So my last video, I talked about the unsolved murder of Amber Hagerman, also known as the Amber Alert case. And one of the people I talked about was the main suspect, Dennis Earl Bradford. He was the 40-year-old welder from Arkansas with a wife and kids, that guy. The reason that he was a suspect in the Amber Hagerman case is because of this story that I'm going to tell you guys right here. And it is an I Survived story, and I'm pretty sure there is an I Survived about this story, but this is the survival story of Jennifer Shuett. So I want to set the scene. It's the summer of 1990 in Dickinson, Texas. Jennifer Shuett is 8 years old, she's full of life, she's really smart, and she's a soon-to-be third grader. At that age, Jennifer still slept with her mom because she was scared of the dark and she was scared of sleeping alone. So very often she slept in the same bed as her mom. And that was no different on August 9th, 1990. She was in bed with her mom, but that night Jennifer was restless. So because she was restless and her mom had to get up for work early the next morning, her mom asked her if she could please go sleep in her own room that night because she really had to get some sleep. And Jennifer remembers telling her mom, "Just because I love you, I'll go sleep in my room." And that's what she did. She went to her room and she read books until she fell asleep. The next thing Jennifer remembered is waking up in a strange man's arms, and he was running down the sidewalk. He had covered Jennifer's mouth and nose so that she was unable to scream or get any sound out of her mouth. He sat Jennifer on his lap and he tried to calm her down by telling her that it was okay because he was an undercover cop and that she would be safe with him. He drove Jennifer to her elementary school, and there he parked in the parking lot and he told Jennifer that they were just waiting for her mom to come pick her up. After 5 minutes of nothing happening, he started up his car and drove away. He ended up driving a little ways away to a dead end. It was there where he held a knife to Jennifer's throat, and he started to tell her, "Am I scaring you, little girl? Am I scaring you?" while he was holding the knife to her neck. He then started choking her until she passed out. And he would continue to do this. He would choke her until she was about to pass out, and then he would stop, and then he would try to break her neck. The last thing that Jennifer remembers is that he laid her down in the back seat and started to lick her all over, and then she passed out. When she woke up, she was being dragged through a field by her legs. After some time, Bradford dropped her legs and just left her in the field. He walked away, got in his car, and he drove away. He had left her for dead, but little did he know that Jennifer was still very much alive. Once she heard the car drive away, she had tried to scream, but nothing would come out of her mouth, and she didn't know why. She didn't know this, but Bradford had actually slit her neck from ear to ear, and that's the reason why she couldn't scream or talk or anything. So the next morning, when Jennifer's mom woke up, she went to Jennifer's room, and she noticed that the window was open and her daughter was missing. So she called the police right away. And without hesitation, Detective Ralph Garcia assembled a bunch of volunteers and officers to start looking through fields. Jennifer was really badly injured, and she kept going in and out of consciousness. She had actually been laying in the field for 12 to 14 hours before she had been found. Something that helped Jennifer survive is that Bradford had actually laid her on an anthill without his knowledge, and the ants biting her continuously helped her stay awake and helped her stay alert. So that was something that helped Jennifer stay alive, even though she was going through a lot of blood loss and shock. While she was in the field, she heard children playing nearby, and she couldn't see them or anything. She could just hear that there were children playing by her. Then she felt that something had hit her foot, and she realized that one of the kids had tripped over her leg, and that's how she was found. She was covered in ant bites and she couldn't make a sound, but she was awake and she was alive. Jennifer was taken to the nearest hospital, and while doctors and nurses were examining her, officers were canvassing the area that she was found in. A quarter of a mile away from the scene, they found Jennifer's clothes and male clothes, and they sent it to go get DNA tested. When Jennifer started feeling better, police officers asked her if she remembered anything about her attacker, and she wrote down, he said his name was Dennis. She remembered a lot of details about him, about his car, and she communicated with the officers by writing down notes because she was unable to speak because of her injury. Lois Gibson was the sketch artist that helped sketch out the picture of her assailant, and they did this by Lois bringing a book of different types of noses, different types of eyes, and Jennifer would point at the one that looked like his, and then she would draw it, and they came up with this sketch. Once she recovered, she had to leave the hospital, and she actually started 3rd grade right away, right on time with everyone else from her grade. It was really scary for her because they didn't find the person that had done it yet, so she always felt like she had to look over her shoulder, like he could be anywhere. And sadly, the leads were getting colder and colder, and it became a cold case. Jennifer says the attack was always in the back of her head, and it was really hard growing up in the place that she was attacked in. Her case was handed off to many different detectives over the years, but 18 years after the attack, a new detective was on the case, and this detective was named Detective Tim Cromie. He told Jennifer that he would never stop and that he would do anything to find the person that had assaulted her, and that reassurance meant the world to Jennifer. Detective Tim Cromie then teamed up with Detective Richard Renison, and they sent Jennifer's clothes and the male clothes that they had found to go get DNA tested. But since the case was 18 years old, it didn't have priority really, so it took a really long time to hear any of the results back. So a year and a half after they sent that stuff to get DNA tested, they finally heard results back. So 19 years after the attack, Detective Renison got a call from the DNA examiner that they had found a match, and the person that it was Dennis Earl Bradford. He had previously been convicted in 1997 for kidnapping. He had also sexually assaulted a woman. It was at that point that Renison looked to see what Bradford looked like, and he quickly saw that the sketch looked just like him, and he also remembered how Jennifer said he said his name was Dennis, and not only was her sketch extremely similar, but she also got the name right. That same morning, Jennifer found out, and she said that it changed her world. It meant everything to her to find out who the person that attacked her was, and to find out that he had been arrested and he was no longer roaming the streets like a free man. So while Bradford was in custody, he was interviewed by police, and I would like to read you guys exactly what he said. So I'm going to read off my phone so you guys know exactly what he said during these interviews. So Bradford said, "Not a single day goes by where I don't see that baby. There's no other side to the story. She was an innocent and I was a sick, deranged, beat-up little effing punk." And he also said, "She wasn't anybody that I knew." He said he just didn't know why he pulled into those apartments. He said he was just driving around one night and he pulled into a parking lot. He walked over to this window. It was open and he could see that the light was on. Bradford then went on to say, "Okay, forgive me, Mama. I pulled that little girl out of that window and I put her in my car, and she was freaking out, and I told her, please just don't worry, it'll be all right. I told her, that little girl, that I was a police officer, that everything would be okay. I pulled off on this little road, and that little girl, she was so scared. I just lost it. I was like a savaged animal. I took that little girl out there and I raped her and I cut her throat. I don't know why. I've never known why. Many times, I've just wanted to end it, but I never had the guts." So he completely confessed to the whole thing. He didn't at first, but eventually the police got it out of him, and he actually had, I think the day after he committed this crime, had tried to kill himself, and he had a shotgun pointed to his head, or, like going like that, but he didn't do it last minute, so he shot into the roof. And then his dad put him in a mental institute or something, a mental hospital for a little. He was going to get like a psych evaluation, and he was actually at the same hospital that Jennifer was at when she was recovering, but he was in there to get like mental health. Once he was in prison, though, Jennifer just could not wait to read her victim statement. She could not wait to finally see this man face to face and let him know that he had messed with the wrong 8-year-old, that he had messed with the wrong girl that day, that she had survived and she was not a victim, that she was a survivor. But while awaiting trial, Dennis Bradford committed suicide in his cell. So sadly, Jennifer never got the chance to read her victim statement or to, have her closure of telling him all the stuff that she wanted to tell him face to face. But 20 years after the accident, on August 10, 2010, Jennifer finally got her moment to read her victim statement, and she was able to read her victim statement at Dennis Bradford's grave. And I just want to read you guys her victim statement because it was extremely powerful. And it goes, Dennis Bradford, I waited 19 years, 2 months, and 3 days to find out your last name and for you to be caught. You chose the wrong little 45-pound 8-year-old girl to try and murder because for 19 years I thought of you every single day and helped in searching for you. In my heart, I knew you were out there alive, either in prison or living a lie. And now I know, listening to my heart of all these years and never giving up on finding you, I was right. And that was her victim statement. But also something that I thought was really kind of funny is that after she read that, she said she turned to her husband and said, I wonder if he's hearing me. And then a single fire ant bit her leg, and she took that as a sign from God that he heard her loud and clear. Because like I said, he put her on top of a fire ant hill and she was being bit constantly, and that's what helped her stay alive. And that is the story of Jennifer Shuett. And clearly you guys can see why I just wanted to do a whole other true crime video separately from the Amber Alert video about the Jennifer Shuett case, because she is a badass 8-year-old and she's a badass woman. It's incredibly empowering to hear her story, to see how she went through this incredible trauma, but she overcame it, and she didn't let it consume her, but she actually grew from it, and she let it empower her in a way. I don't know, I really love that, and I wanted to share that with you guys. And so it's been a hectic day. I hope I can get this edited fast enough. I have been cleaning all day because I'm going to move apartments soon. I'm really excited about that, but also I'm flying out to Washington again tomorrow, so it's been really hectic. But if you guys like this video, please let me know down below. Give me a like, give me a comment or something. It would mean the world. And that's all for this time. Until next time, stay positive, stay out there, wear a face mask, and good luck.